I'm Jennifer King with RE/MAX. Today we're going to be talking about the Pennsylvania Consumer Notice, and we're going to get started right now. When you are involved in a real estate transaction in Pennsylvania, it is required by law that the real estate professional you speak with provides you with a copy of and information on the consumer notice. This form is approved by the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors and is required to be presented to every prospect at the very first meeting of substance. The consumer notice outlines the different ways that you can be represented in a real estate transaction in Pennsylvania. It's important that you read the disclosure. There's 2 pages, you want to read them, and that outlines for you the different ways you can be represented. The first way would be seller agency. It's pretty obvious, but that means that you're going to be represented in the sale of your property. In a seller agency, the agent is required to make a continuous and good faith effort to get the property sold and to work exclusively for the seller. The next way you could be represented would be a buyer agency. In a buyer agency, you're going to be represented on the purchase of a property in Pennsylvania. The buyer agent must act in the buyer's best interest, helping them find the property of interest and working confidentially on the buyer's behalf. The third option for representation in Pennsylvania would be dual agency. In that instance, a seller agent already has a property listed and is working for the seller and must disclose, if a buyer also wants to work with the same agent, that there must be disclosure written and signed by both parties acknowledging that the agent is representing both buyer and seller, creating a dual agency. In dual agency, it's important to keep in mind that the agent must act in the best interest of all parties. The agent must not ever take any action that would be adverse or detrimental to either party. In a situation where an agent has a property listed and a buyer comes along and wants to purchase the property, there is another option outside of dual agency. What that would be is designated agency. In a designated agency, the broker can appoint another agent to represent the interests of the other party, typically in this instance, a buyer. Therefore, both the seller has seller agency, the buyer has buyer agency, and in this instance, if it is a listing with the same company, only the broker is serving as a dual agent, not the actual agent who has the property listed or is representing the seller or the buyer. Are there any other types of representation? Yes, there are. There is such a thing called transaction licensee. If someone is acting as a transaction licensee, they are not representing either party, they are simply helping to facilitate the transaction. Again, you're going to want to read through the entire consumer notice, but the back part or page 2 of the consumer notice does detail all of the ways which any licensee in real estate in Pennsylvania is responsible to their clients, including dealing honestly and in good faith, accounting for escrow deposit monies, making sure all parties comply with the real estate seller's disclosure law, and also advising the consumer to seek legal advice or other professional advice when it's out of their scope of expertise. In a nutshell, that is the consumer notice. I hope that's been helpful for you. Again, for your free copy of the consumer notice so that you can review it in advance, I'd be happy to send that to you. I'm going to send a link down below, and if you have any questions, reach out anytime. I'm Jennifer King, and I look forward to hearing from you. Please join us every week by subscribing below so you're notified when we release new videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.